Greetings, fellow carbon-based bipeds. I am Scott Rose, and you are watching Explosions and Stuff. Today, I'll be reviewing the 1994 film Ring of Steel, starring Robert Chapin, Joe Don Baker, Gary Casper, and Darlene Vogel. An overview of the film: after a freak accident that results in the death of his opponent during a fencing competition, Alex Freyer is blackballed from the fencing world. He is unsure what to do with his life until he meets a mysterious man in black who runs a secret fighting club and offers him a position there. Little does Alex know, this club takes it very seriously, and the fighters compete for glory, for riches, and for blood. The pros of this movie? Well, first of all, this movie was made by people who know swordplay and who know fencing. Robert Chapin, who starred in this movie, he played Alex Freyer. He also wrote the movie. And it shows. It shows the passion in the writing, just the knowledge of this fencing world. Like, for example, in the first scene of the movie, it's that big fencing tournament. Two fencers meet for the first time and they shake hands. Well, just like normal fencers would do, they shake hands with their left hand. I don't know much about fencing, but I know that. Fencers, when they meet each other, they shake hands with their left hand. So the fact that they got these little things right showed the passion and the care and the love that they had for making this movie correctly and the authenticity that went into it. Also, because these guys were trained fighters and trained swordsmen, the fight scenes just looked fantastic. I mean, amazing swordplay. I could never do this stuff. Yes, some of it looked silly, but it was authentic. Like, there was one guy whose fight scene looked like he was part of the Ministry of Funny Walks from Monty Python. But guess what? That was a real fencing stance. And it was weird but good. It was nice to see the different kinds of fencing styles. And not everybody used fencing. There was a ninja. There was a guy who used a katana, a samurai sword. There was one guy who used like these big knives. I don't know what they're called, but these big Asian knives. One guy even used a broadsword. There was a guy who used like a big sword and a shield, like a gladiator. It was great. I loved the different swordplay styles that went into this movie, and the passion and the love for this film. And most of all, this movie had no shaky cam. I loved that. I hate shaky cam, and the fact that this movie didn't have a single bit of it, oh, I absolutely loved that. The cons of this movie? Well, first of all, this movie had no real clear identity. The original script for it was very dark and very gloomy. It had Alex getting caught up in the world of drugs and violence and blood sport, and then meeting up with the love interest later and her not being able to recognize him. But the studio thought that was too dark, so they hired another guy to come in and rewrite parts of the script to kind of lighten it up. As a result, you get some really, really dark and evil bits, followed by some really goofy and silly bits, and they just don't mesh together. It's like oil and water, and you're just sitting there, it's like, I have no idea what kind of movie this is supposed to be. Also, the story in this movie, it was unoriginal and predictable. If you've seen one damsel in distress movie, then you've seen pretty much all of them, and this one falls into that category of a damsel in distress movie. The acting in this movie was pretty damn stiff. Aside from Joe Don Baker, he was the only talented actor in the movie. Everyone else was pretty stiff, and I understand why. You know, these people the fighters were hired based on their ability to use the swords, to not have to have stunt doubles. So they traded off the ability to act for the ability to use the swords. Personally, I'd rather have these amazing fight scenes than have Oscar-winning performances and crappy sword fight scenes. So, yeah, I think they did the right choice there. Also, Darlene Vogel, who played the love interest, her character was absolutely useless. All she was good for was the one sex scene in the movie so that, a lot of the male fans could get to see boobs, and then being kidnapped. Nothing she did had any effect on the plot or on the story. Really, aside from the sex scene and seeing her topless, everything she did in this movie could be replaced by just having a photograph of her and talking about her. There was really no reason to actually have her in the movie. There was no point. Give her something to do. Really. Make her somewhat important. Make her more than just a frickin' plot device. You can be original. You can write a good female character. Make her more than a plot device, people. The best action scene in the movie? It would have to be the fencing scene between the character of Alex and the character of Brian. And these two characters, it wasn't so much that they were competing against each other, it was just they were showcasing their skills and showing how good they were with the sword, and it was fantastic. You had amazing sword play, no special effects, no shaky cam, and it was just great. It is easily my favorite action scene of the movie. It stands out the most, and yeah, I loved that scene. It was great. My overall thoughts on the movie? While this movie isn't perfect, it's still really enjoyable. It's one of those movies where you can just shut off your brain and be entertained by it. I give it 2 thumbs up. Yes, the acting is stiff, and the story is unoriginal, and it doesn't know what it wants to be. But the real reason anyone's going to watch this movie is the sword fights, which are fantastically amazing and varied. If you want a deep story with well-developed characters, you're not going to get it here. Go somewhere else. But if you want exciting action scenes that don't need any CGI effects whatsoever, check out Ring of Steel. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel for new action movie reviews posted every week. Also, if you have any recommendations for movies you would like me to review in the future, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you and have a nice day.